Mexico. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, the one with
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah.
Selma Hayek.
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
Oof. Yeah, Johnny Depp. He plays a good part in that movie. That movie is a little wonky.
Wonky?
For a second. You're like, where the fuck is this thing going?
Yeah, at first you're kind of like, what?
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be before Desperado.
No, because they like
after.
Yeah, they show clips of Desperado, like when him and Selma Hayek get shot.
Yeah,
and then Eva Mendes is in there.
Mm-hmm.
She's oh my god, holy crap, dude.
Yeah.
And
was that a Tarantino movie?
No. Who was that director in the early 2000s? Robert Rodriguez.
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen that thing where it's him and Quentin Tarantino? They sit down and talk about directing and stuff like that.
Mm-mm.
It's pretty cool.
It's got to be pretty good.
It's pretty good little. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
Just check it out. I watched it one night and I was like, because I was about to go to bed, and then like 2 hours later, I was like, fuck. That work's gonna suck.
So he's done Spy Kids.
Yes.
From Dusk Till Dawn. I thought that was Tarantino. That was Tarantino. Yeah, Tarantino's in the fucking movie. I'm so confused. It says movie.
Yeah, but he might have.
Maybe he was in it.
He probably helped direct it or something.
Apparently there was a movie called
Mariachi.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
It was supposed to be before Desperado.
Yeah, so it's that, then Desperado, then Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
He directed Machete.
Machete?
Apparently he directed Sin City, or he was in Sin City. I don't know. Planet Terror. Oh, I remember seeing this. The what do you call it? That.
Oh yeah, Grindhouse, The Planet Terror.
Yeah,
those movies are wild.
I never watched them.
You never watched them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those are gonna have to be some movies that we watch.
Okay. Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Hell yeah, bro. Why did he took a turn from like doing all these crazy fucking movies to Spy Kids, bro?
Gotta branch out and get all the everybody, you know.
That's fair enough.
But today's guest is Mr. John Leister. I don't know. We're gonna find out here in a second.
Johnny boy.
Welcome to H&D Comedy Podcast.
Work it, boy.
Get funky, get freaky.
With your host, Papa and Baby.
Oh, baby. Ooh.
Thanks for tuning in.
I was stressing like crazy because we were having the internet wasn't working. But I'm at the library. I'm at the downtown library in Vancouver. But fortunately, everything seems to be copacetic. I'm John. Nice to meet you.
What's going on, John? I'm Haffa.
I'm David.
Hi, Haffa. Hi, David. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course, man. Thanks for being on.
Oh, thank you so much. Cheers. Where are you guys?
We live in Texas.
Oh, wow. I never would have guessed. The accent is just a slight giveaway. I love Texas. I read a lot of Westerns. I'd like to go there someday.
Yeah, you should definitely come down here. If you ever come down here, dude, hit us up, man. We live in like a small little town, you know.
Beer's on me.
Hey, there we go.
Although I love America, but I think there's one thing Canadians do better, and that's beer.
I don't know anything about Canadian beer.
Yeah.
You guys, you're kind of frozen right now. Your image is very blurry.
Okay.
I don't know.
Give it a sec. My internet's kind of terrible.
Oh, there we go.
Now,
you're good to go now.
Yeah, it should kind of come back, but
right on.
Yeah, man. So you're in Canada, right?
Yeah, I'm Canadian. I'm in Vancouver.
Okay.
Right on. I grew up here. Yeah.
That's cool.
I think it's cool that. Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No,
I just think it's cool that you guys have sound booths in your library.
Oh yeah, awesome. It's free, and the staff are super helpful. And my brother Paul and I, Paul Bale, we have a podcast called The Canadian Bro Show. And we have our 53rd episode just got uploaded today. And this is where we film. Well, I film here, and he lives in Kelowna, which is a city a few miles, sort of an urban city a few miles outside, or suburban city, I should say, outside of Vancouver.
Okay.
So there's actually 3 Canadian Bro shows. There's one on pop culture, which he does with me, and then he does another one on basketball, and he just started another one on real estate because he's a real estate developer. And the image, you guys are very fuzzy right now. I don't know how you feel about that.
It comes in and out, but where we record it, it cleans it up after.
Yeah, once we're done with this and like I go to post the episode, it'll be clear.
Oh, terrific.
It's like recording your side. It's actually getting like raw footage on your end, and then it's getting like the raw footage on our end, and it's like doing all that. But yeah, so it'll cut in and out like that because the internet I have right now is not the best. Paying $100 for internet, and it's like, hey, we're going to give you the worst internet.
Well, bad internet's better than no internet at all.
That's true.
Sorry for the stammer.
No, you're good, dude. I get like that too. My little brother, he stutters a lot, so I mess with him, and then it starts getting on me a little bit, and I'll be and I'm like, oh god, I need to calm down.
It's contagious.
Yeah. It is a disease.
Yeah.
I just subscribed to your Canadian Bro Show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, buddy.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I just bought your book too on the.
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah, I just bought
your book. Oh my god! Wow, I could cry. Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm not the best reader. I barely know how to.
That's okay. So. My books they're more like short stories. The first few books I wrote were about 100 to 200 pages. But they're getting shorter and shorter. They're like 20, 30 pages now. And I always tell people stories as long as it needs to be. I see them more as like episodes of a long-running Netflix series.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Where do you draw inspiration from when you're writing?
Well, I mean, I've always been an artsy-fartsy nerd. Are we recording now? Or are we...
we're recording, yeah.
Oh, recording? Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm John Leister. Yeah, so I've always been an artsy-fartsy nerd. I grew up in the 1970s and was not into hockey. You know, if you're a Canadian boy and you don't like hockey, it's kind of, I don't mean to play the world's smallest violin, but it was kind of a cross to bear for me because, all Canadian boys are nuts about hockey. And all I wanted to do was watch Star Trek and read my comic books. I was ahead of the curve. I was ahead of my time because now I think it's more acceptable than when I was a boy. But I loved Spider-Man and Marvel and DC Comics, and I wanted to be an artist. I was actually pretty good at drawing as a boy. I don't know why I gave it up. I guess I got lazy. Like I said, I've always been interested in the arts. And then after high school, I tried acting for a couple of years. I don't know how old you guys are, but there was a show from the 1960s called The Big Dolly. Do you guys know that show? It's a Western. And one of the stars of that show, it's probably before your time. I think I'm a little bit older than you guys are. But Peter Breck, who's one of the stars of that show, he came to Vancouver and he started an acting school called the Breck Academy. You guys can cut me off at any point because I've been told I'm a little long-winded, so guilty is charged. And so in the 1980s, the film and TV industry was really booming in Vancouver. It looks pretty much like any other North American city. And so Stephen J. Cannell, who's an uber successful television producer, 21 Jump Street and Wise Guy and JJ Starbucks, all those shows were shot in Vancouver. So there's a tremendous opportunity for anyone who wanted to be an actor or work in the film industry. So I studied acting with Peter Breck. I was an extra in Rocky IV. That was my 15 minutes of fame. Rocky IV was the big fight at the end with Ivan Drago was shot at the Agrodome. So I was actually in the audience chanting Rocky. I was actually there for one day. You don't see me in the movie, but I got to see the fight live, which was pretty cool. But unfortunately, I don't mean to gross you guys out or any of your viewers, but I developed psoriasis. Do you gentlemen know what that is? Psoriasis? It's a skin malcondition where some people, bless you, some people, our bodies generate more skin than what would be considered a natural. And my diet wasn't helping. I'm a recovering sugar addict. I used to be very overweight. I used to weigh anywhere from 235 to 250 pounds. And so my skin got to be so bad, like I was feeling more like a reptile and less like a human being. And I remember I did a play. The last acting I ever did, did a play on stage, and for some nutty reason, I ran my fingers through my hair, and like this fireworks display of dandruff flew off my scalp, and everybody in the audience gasped. Now, to give myself credit, I was actually able to stay in character and continue with the performance. But I was so mortified and humiliated by that experience that it put, actors are sensitive. I think people generally have some degree of sensitivity, but if you're artsy, I think that sensitivity is a little more extreme. So I threw in the towel on my dream of acting. And of all things, I've been a security guard for 35 years. That's still my bread and butter job. I'm still working full-time security. Now, in 2019, my life changed. And here's where the story gets a little bit weird. And I hope I don't come across as preacher or anything. But what I did was I took a leap of faith. I kind of felt like I was reaching the end of my rope in life. I'd never been suicidal or anything like that. But I remember thinking, man, I'm 53 years old. I've been working the same job for 35 years. All I want to do, I'm single. I have not had much in the way of romantic relationships because psoriasis is not the worst thing in the world, but it doesn't do a lot for one's self-confidence. I was addicted to junk food. I was living more like an island than really being a part of life. And I just hit a wall. I just hit like a saturation point. And what I did was I reached out to God. And I said, Our Heavenly Father, I've heard about you my whole life. I don't know if I'm talking to myself right now, but I realized about myself that I'm the kind of guy that has to have it in his mind's eye all the time that someone loves me and accepts me for who I am unconditionally, is rooting for me to make at least some effort towards self-manifestation versus being a total couch potato, kind of like Yoda in Luke Skywalker's rucksack or Mickey, in the Rocky movies. We need a coach. Some of us do anyway. Some of us are more self-starters, but some of us, we need to have someone rooting for us all the time because it's motivating. So just to backtrack a little bit, in 2005, I wrote a whole bunch of short stories at work over a period of a few months. I created a character called Lee Hacklin. Sorry, I just spat. He's a private investigator. And I just wrote these short stories out of boredom. I wasn't even thinking about self-publishing. This was 2005. I didn't even know that Amazon existed. I think it was probably just starting back then. And so after I reached out to God and I asked him to help me, thank goodness I made hard copies of these short stories. I blew the dust off them and the pages were curled and yellowy and I read them. And I don't know if you guys do any creative writing. Of course, we're all our own worst self-critics. But I remember reading this stuff thinking, gosh, if these stories said written by Joe Blow instead of John Leister, I know I would like them. They're not great literature, but I've read a lot worse, let's put it that way. So that was the beginning of my true life's journey of becoming a self-published author. Initially, I dealt with Amazon, and it was a tremendous uphill struggle for me to get that first book published. I cobbled a bunch of my short stories together, and it became my first book, Plug. There he is, shamelessly plugging his product, The Collected Cases of Lee Hacklin, Private Investigator, Book 1. And man, oh man, it was just like I was going in circles because Amazon was rejecting my banking information, and then I would go to the bank and this was the right information. And I was losing my mind. And I remember thinking, if I didn't have God in my life, kind of like Big Brother from 1984. Do you know that book by George Orwell? Big Brother's watching you, but in a good way. Not in a harsh, punitive, throw him in the Iron Maiden kind of way. And again, reading. It's like, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. Because at the end of the day, what really matters in our lives is not the destination, it's the journey. So after about 100 attempts, an incredible, I don't know, maybe there was issues with the website. I even phoned a Kindle Direct Publishing, which is a subsidiary of Amazon. And they're saying, no, everything's fine. But it's not fine because the book's not being published. When I saw on the screen for the first time, fellas, congratulations, your ebook has been published. I was just like, man, is this for real? Am I dreaming? Am I plugged into the Matrix? It was a very surreal experience for me because it was one of the first times in my life where I actually started something and I didn't throw in the towel because it got too hard. And I think that's what trips a lot of people up. There's a lot of people out there, they'll start something, they'll go back to school or they'll join a gym or they'll start a business or whatever it is. And initially they're excited, right? They're enthusiastic. They have all this energy. They're gung-ho, right? But what happens? There's hiccups. There's potholes. There's unforeseen circumstances. And the temptation to just, this is too hard. Too many things are going wrong. You know what? I'm just going to go back to the couch and back to my KFC and just, watch movies and TV shows and just be like, live my life vicariously through other people's manifestations. But again, because I had God in my life, because I had the determination, and again, that feeling. Have you guys heard of a movie called Billy Elliot? Have either of you guys heard of that movie? It's about a boy who wants to be a ballet dancer. It's a really sweet movie. And his dad's an alpha male, and he's losing his mind. And he's like, "What? My son wants to be a ballet dancer, right?" But eventually he comes around, and he takes Billy to this ballet school in London. This is going somewhere. And the auditioners ask Billy, "Well, how do you feel when you dance?" And he says, "Well, I feel like electricity." And that's how I felt, guys, when I published that first book for the first time. And I remember thinking, I'm 53 years old. I want to feel this way all the time. So ever since then now it's 2025, and I've got over 100 of these. They're getting shorter and shorter. They're more like short stories now. I've got over 100 of these stories online, and I've discovered since 2019 that this is what I was meant to do with my life. And luckily, I was able to do it at a point where I still had some cognitive ability. I was still reasonably healthy. And here's another thing after I reached out to God. I lost 65 pounds. I started hitting the weights. I mean, I'm not Mr. Olympia, obviously, but I'm by far, I'm in better shape now than when I was in high school. Seriously, in high school, I couldn't do a push-up or a chin-up to save my life. I don't mean to brag about this stuff. I'm just sharing. I think that the sort of the quintessence of life is body, mind, and soul. We need to exercise our bodies. We all know that. We need to exercise our minds. We all know that. Most of us do. But I think what we take for granted is our souls. And it's a little bit nebulous, like what exactly is the soul? The soul, I believe, is the essence of life. It's what came to our bodies before conception. Again, I'm not running for office. I'm not trying to browbeat anybody. I'm sharing a mindset, a philosophy that works for me. You notice how some kids are natural. I'm going to back this up with a little science. Some kids are naturally good at math. I sucked at math. I was still learning my times tables when I was in grade 6, but I was reading when I was 4 years old because that was my natural. Because I'm into words, I'm into stories. That was my natural inclination. But we all knew a kid who got algebra when he was like, what, 8? They just looked at the stuff, sorry to spat again, and they just get it. Like, how can that be? How can that be possible? Well, the reason, and again, this is all subjective. This is all completely my opinion, because that's what came with them to their corporeal bodies. And I think that the hills of our lives, the stress in our lives, is a little more manageable if we just go with what we're naturally good at. And anybody out there watch this podcast, if you feel like you suck at everything, I know exactly how that feels. If you feel that way about yourself, then just go with what you like. You gotta like something. Do you like Star Wars? Do you like comic books? Do you like all the geek stuff? Right? Then do a podcast. You know what? I'm 60 years old and my brother's 60. We have a plug. We have a podcast called Canadian Bro Show. Thank you for subscribing. Most of the people that we know in our lives are much younger. Right? And again, they have their own stuff going on, but none of them have podcasts. And that always amazes me. Like, why don't you kids, like once a month, just put, you might meet someone you spend the rest of your life with. You might connect with someone who will open doors for you. There's a writer named Mike Madden. He's a best-selling author, and he writes the Jack Ryan series. Do you guys know Tom Clancy and Jack Ryan? Right? Tom Clancy passed away, and of course he created these political thrillers that spun off into movies and TV shows. Well, Mike Madden is one of the authors that picked up the reins. I'm going somewhere with this again. So I took a picture of myself holding one of his books. I'm a book nerd. I'm just nuts about. I don't watch movies and TV shows too much anymore because I just find it too time consuming. But I love to read. I took a picture of myself holding one of his books, and I posted it on his Facebook profile page. And I told him about my group page. I have a group page on Facebook called Johnny's Way. You guys are welcome to join, over 1,000 members. I post videos of myself reading my stories in his phone, and I write what I like to think are uplifting and inspirational essays about self-manifestation, about not giving up, and about living life positively and creatively. Well, anyway, I told him about my group page, and guess what? He joined. He joined my group page. I know, right? This best-selling author joined my group page. Like, this is the world we're living in. And it amazes me that more and more people are not taking advantage of this technology because it's easy to use. And if you don't know how to use it, and I worked at a library for many years, and there are people my age coming in saying, I've never used a computer before. Excuse me. Sometimes we're men, it's harder for us, I think. I don't want to stereotype. Men, we don't like asking people for help. It's not in our DNA. We're men, god darn it, and we want to do everything on our own. If I hadn't asked people to help me post that first book, you guys would be interviewing somebody else right now, if there's such a thing as alternate timelines. if you don't have the information that you need to do whatever it is you do with your life, then reach out. But you have to show people your sincerity. You have to show people that you mean it. If you're wishy-washy, and this is what, again, if you're wishy-washy about it, that turns people off, and it's not going to happen. I think the library staff, I would come into the library every day after work, and the staff would look at me like, here he comes. It's this guy again. We have to sit next to him. We have to hold his hand. We have to show him how to do the thing, that the paste and cut. We have to show him how to do the thing that we showed him yesterday. Why doesn't the damn fool take notes? Right? But I think that I don't mean to be overly self-denigrating, but I demonstrated to them my sincerity. And so their enthusiasm for helping me was equally so. And it's such an important life lesson. We get back what we give in life. Not always. It can backfire sometimes, but more often than not. If you're walking around with a huge chip on your shoulder, and I did a lot of that when I was a younger man, if you're walking around with hurt feelings all the time and you're sensitive to everybody's, comments and your pet peeves and global events, forget about self-manifestation. It's not going to happen. Your dream is going to go to your grave with you, because all of that negativity, it sucks away our energy. And we need to have energy. This is why my diet, like I said, I'm a recovering sugarholic. My diet changed. Like, I would go to the supermarket and I look at vegetables. They start looking attractive to me, because we need to take care of our bodies. Now, obviously, none of us are going to miss, you don't have to miss Olympia, but if you're out of shape, if you want to exercise, for goodness sake, just walk. A funny thing happens when we move if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling like whatever it is going on in your life is drawing you down, just move your body. That's really all you need to do, and you're going to feel a little bit better. So that's my story in a very long-winded nutshell. You have the floor. Sorry.
I was going to ask, is this guy going to breathe at some point?
I think I'll do that now.
Yeah.
There we go. Deep cleansing breath. Namaste.
Namaste.
Well, man, I'm happy for you, bro. I'm glad
you
you found that. I'm glad you're doing better. I've
Thank
kind of
you.
went on my own journey like that a little bit. Half has been here for it. He's suffered through with me, and he's been good sport about it. So
Did you guys grow up together? Are you childhood friends?
No.
Oh, okay.
We met. We just talked about that.
Yeah, we
2017.
Yeah, we met just like 2015, 2016 ish, and we were just like at a party one time, and I was outside, or I was walking outside, and he was outside, and he was like, "Hey man, you got a cigarette?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, but can I like rap to you?" And he was like,
"Aw,
no,
that's so cool."
He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't need
Get
that
away from me."
Anymore. Yeah, he's like, "I don't need that anymore."
No, I smoked a cigarette. He rapped for me, and we started bullshitting.
He was like, "Man, that's the coolest rap I've ever heard," and I was like, "Hell yeah!" And then like a couple years later, we're kind of like looking, like we're chilling somewhere, and I'm like, "Man, this guy looks familiar." And like we kind of talk, and he's like, "You rapped to me one night," and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, dude.
That's
and then
so cool.
we hang out, and then I started a podcast called Two Birds One Stoned, and I'd have just a couple of people on, my friends and stuff, and every time he'd come on, we'd always have this good like connect. We were like
good chemistry.
Yeah, we'd bounce stuff off of each other real quick. So it was like, hey, he was like, we should start our own and call it like HD Comedy Podcast or something. And so half of David, I don't know why people keep thinking huge dick. I don't know. Definitely not that.
Trust me, I did not. That did not occur to me. Trust me.
We make it very clear.
Yeah,
it's tiny wiener.
That's great.
But no, we've been doing this for about a year now, and we've both been kind of like you. Dude, I've got a table over there full of fucking Slim Jims and Nerds and all kinds of candy right now. You'd probably be like, I can't be here right now. But
well, you look like you're in pretty good shape.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You work out. Yeah.
Kind of.
Everything boils down to mindset. There are a lot of people out there. When I started making changes in my life back in 2019, I consider that my rebirth year. Like chronologically, I'm 60, but in terms of who I am right now, I see myself as 6, because it was 6 years ago that I reached out to God. I reached out to so many people. I reached out to old friends, like maybe 40, like as diverse a group of people, men and women of all shapes and sizes, all ethnicities. Hey, let's do a podcast. Every answer I got back was variations of the same. Oh, I'm too busy. Oh, I don't know. And let's just do one. Let's just do one. Let's plan like a month from now. Let's just do, no, I don't know. I can't, and look, I don't judge them. I don't want to throw stones in a glass house. I get their mindset is in the comfort zone. And that's what drains our motivation to do whatever it is we're meant to do with our lives. My hallucination is that most human beings have a secret sorrow. When we're children, we all want to be astronauts. We want to be movie stars. We want to be rock stars. We want to be a thing that is like big and epic. Did you guys watch game shows when you were kids? Remember when children were sometimes contestants on game shows, right? And the host asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be president of the United States, right? I heard that, and then the audience would lose their minds. They loved hearing that, right? What happens? Most children, because we're just surrounded by so much negativity when we're kids, and whether it's our parents or friends or teachers, and we're inundated with so much information. I can't imagine what it's like to be a kid in these days. Okay, this is the information age.
Crazy.
But even when we were kids, we're just bombarded with so much information, and the kids who have a chance are the ones who are able to suss out, kind of like going through the rough and looking for the diamond. You have to sort of wade through all of the crap to get to the stuff that's actually useful. And when I was a young man in my 20s, I read a ton of self-help books. I was reading Anthony Robbins and Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. And, I was trying to fill my head with this. I was in therapy for a year, and I don't feel like doing any of that was a waste of time, because I'm actually implementing that stuff now. All that stuff that I learned in my 20s, I'm finally implementing it on a much more consistent basis. So, but the reason I was living 2 steps forward, 1 step, or I should say 1 step forward, 2 steps back, is because living my life as a couch potato and eating all that junk food every day and just watching DVDs after work, I was having a good time. I mean, I was putting pleasure ahead of happiness, and pleasure against instant gratification. And you as living in America and me living as a Canadian, we're living in the quote unquote developed nations, right? And so which is great, but what sucks about it a little bit is that we're surrounded by so much temptation, right? Every day, whether it's alcohol or junk food, and in some cases drugs. I mean, I work security, I work downtown Vancouver, and I see guys on the street every day. They're sticking needles into their arms, and they have the pipe, and it's like all their eggs are in one basket. That's all they want to do. And they're unemployable, and all they can do to get the money to get the drugs is to commit crimes. What's going on in their heads? Like, what's their mindset? I'm not a mind reader, but my hallucination is that they're suffering. They're suffering so much inside, and they don't see the beauty of the world. They don't have role models. If you don't know how to live your life, look for role models. Look at people who are doing what you want to do, and try to emulate, what they did, because they didn't start at the top, right? They started at the bottom, and they had their own issues to deal with as they rose up the ladder, right? All that information is out there, but some of us we just suck in all that negativity, and it sucks all the energy out of us, and so all those temptations become much more alluring. And that's why I lived my life that way for 35 years. Now I had these little windows here and there where I would join a gym. I did kickboxing for a couple of years, or I would try to write something, but it didn't take, none of that stuff took in a meaningful way until I reached out to God. Once I reached out to God. Now, if I'm wrong, if it turns out that the atheists and the agnostics of the world are right, they're not. I'm just, but if they are, that's my faith. That's my faith. But I respect that. But God gave us free will. God is very secure. He's a very secure being. I'm not the kind of believer who says, "Oh, you must believe in God, you're going to hell." I'm not that guy. God gave us free will to think however if you think communism is great, good. Just keep it away from me. But if that's what you like, fine. If you're an atheist, whatever works for you, right? But for me, when I lived my life that way, I was doing nothing. Now I'm much more productive. And I think that in order to be happy, and again, it's just my opinion, fellas, we need to create. And it doesn't have to be anything grandiose. It could be a table that you built with your bare hands. We need to have a sense we left something. Sorry, just bad again. This is bad habit. We need to have a sense that our lives, that we left something, because we're not taking anything with us. in the next world, whatever that might be. If there is a next world, I believe that there is a continuance of some kind. It's about what we leave behind. And some people are very successful, and what they leave behind is nothing but a wake of hurt feelings, and just they're just like bulldozers. But you don't have to be. You don't have to be a bully and successful at the same time. You can be kind. You can be generous. You can be a warm, loving human being, and that's how I try to live my life, because I find that living my life that way, I get that back in return. So again, it's everything. It's body, mind, and soul. And if one of those things are weak, then you just sort of accept that and go again. Just go with what you're naturally good at, or go with what you naturally. Here's an example. I tried stand-up comedy. I went to an open mic bar near my place. I tried it 4 times, and man, oh man, I told one joke that got a laugh. Okay, here we go. What's a Freudian slip? That's when you say one thing and mean a mother. That's the only joke I told that got a laugh. But mostly, I just got a lot of blank stares. And I remember the 4th time, it was fun. I mean, I'm glad that I did it. But I remember walking home one night from the bar, and I just had completely, wiped out. And I said, I'm not doing that again. And I thought, oh, here we go again. Is this another example of me starting something that wasn't what I thought it would be, and now I'm hitting the ejector seat button like the Aston Martin from Goldfinger? No, it was different. I tried it out, and I discovered that it wasn't a good fit for me. And I think that's okay. If you do something, you're like, oh, wait a second, no, this is not really what I want. That's fine. But if you do something that you love, and then you stop doing it because, again, the little hiccups, that's bad. Because what happens is your soul is suffering. You're not in sync with whatever it is that you're meant to do with your life. And it's usually something creative, right? And so there are a lot of creative people out there who have denied their creativity. Why? Because they're scared. They're scared of criticism. They're afraid that it's going to be a waste of time. And what I've discovered since 2019, that it's all about the doing. What makes us happy is the doing. And every time, I just published another Lee Hacklin mystery yesterday, a drive-in shooting about the murder of a drive-in movie theater, owner of a drive-in movie theater called The Outsider. Every time I publish another book, they're more like short stories now, I have a feeling of elation. I have a feeling like, this is what I was meant to do with my life. And I have in my mind's eye from reaching out to nice people like yourselves who are fellow self-manifestors with the same positive energy. I have a mind's eye that I'm going to connect with that one man or woman who's out there who doesn't think my stories are total garbage and sees what I see in them. I mean, look, like as I said earlier, they're not great. My writing style is very punchy. I drew my gun and I shot it. They're the kinds of stories that I grew up with. They're about here. They're not woke. They're not politically correct. My boy Lee Hacklin, he's a smoker, he's a drinker, he's a badass, he's ruthless, but he's kind. He's a very loving man. He's an idealized version of myself, which is something I think a lot of writers do. It's a wish fulfillment. I think that's what Ian Fleming did when he created James Bond, or Tom Clancy when he created Jack Ryan. Again, it's like, Lee is a much cooler, hipper, smoother with the ladies, drives a white Dodge Charger. Again, it's a bit of a wish. He's a wisecracker, but he has a heart of gold, and he likes to help people, and he hates bullies. And so, when I go to Starbucks every day before work and I open my notebook, the words just spill out of me. And this is the discovery that I've made since 2019. Like writer's block. What the hell is that? There's no such thing. You either want to write or you don't want to write. That's like saying I have exercise block or clean my house block. No. You either want to do it or you don't want to do it. When we make those kinds of excuses, it makes us weak. And when we share those weaknesses with other people, that encourages them to feel weak about themselves too. And that's why it's so important for all of us to feel good about ourselves. Now, one thing I learned in therapy, I had a great therapist. He told me, you need to like yourself unconditionally as a starting point. In other words, never mind what you did yesterday. Never mind what you could have done, should have done, shouldn't have done, right? There's nothing to be done about that stuff. It's in the past. It's gone. But some of us are living there in our minds. And I was guilty of that to a large degree when I was a younger man. All I could think about was what I didn't like about myself. Oh, I said that thing. Oh, I did a stupid thing 5 years ago. And that was my mindset. And all of that stuff weighs us down. And again, our feelings have a global impact. If you feel good about yourself, if you accept yourself, if you love yourself, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and give yourself a thumbs up and wink and mean it and really, really mean it, you're having a global impact. That's the way I feel about it. Maybe it's not scientific, but that's my belief. And it works both ways. If you walk around with a huge chip on your shoulder, then you're encouraging people to feel the same way. And that's not the kind of guy I want to be. And I like to think that I'm living proof that a man or a woman in his relatively advanced years, because I didn't start doing this until I was 53. A lot of people always say, if you haven't made it by the time you're 30, you never will, right? What does that mean? I've proven that that's complete BS. As long as you're alive, as long as your mind still works, I think you need to be, relatively healthy. You don't have to be super fit, but if you got suffering physically, again, that's going to take away your motivation, body, mind, and soul. And just think about what's within your control. Here's another thing since I reached out to God. I stopped watching the news. I almost never, ever watch the news. I'm a recovering political junkie. I used to listen to all these very conservative podcasts. The Alex Jones show, I used to listen to that every day. And Ben Shapiro and the John and Ken show. I used to listen to these podcasts, and they're stimulating, and I enjoyed listening to them. But I was losing my mind because all those guys are talking about is everything that sucks about the world. The chaos and the corruption and the war and the terrorism and the violence and the crime and the unfairness. Oh man. Once I disengage from that stuff, and look, it's not that I stopped caring. I do care. It's just that stuff is beyond my control. And people say, oh, you're selfish. I've heard this. People have said this to me. You're a narcissist. Listen, you have to be a little bit selfish in life. Otherwise, you have no self. I was a very unselfish person when I was a younger man. I was trying to make everybody else happy. And what did I produce back then? Nothing. Goose eggs. Once I became selfish in a good way, now I've been a guest on podcasts. I have my group page. I have my podcast with Paul. I have my books. I'm 175 pounds when I used to weigh 235 pounds. I feel good about myself. None of that stuff happens without taking that leap of faith. And again, if I'm wrong, if it turns out that when I die, it's just nothing, which to me doesn't make sense because if you accept that there are no contradictions, non-existence is a contradiction. So contradictions do not exist. Therefore, there's always some form of existence. So I believe that when our bodies conk out, and they are going to conk out, unfortunately, someday, hopefully not today, not tomorrow, there is some kind of continuance. And the only thing that makes sense to me is that our spirits they go back into the ether, the metaphysical ether, and then it pops out again. And it could pop out in the past. I don't think it's reincarnation. I don't quite see it that way, but maybe there are aspects of yourself. Like I hope that when I die, if I come back as basically the same guy. Like I'll be a different person. It could be a person in the past too. You could be retroactive, or it could be 100 years from now. I hope that I come back as someone who likes the same kind of things and is a manifester and is a doer and not a procrastinator. Anyway, go. I need to take a rest.
Breathe, brother, breathe.
We're kind of doing what you did right now. I mean, we're becoming more selfish for a better reason, trying to better ourselves, better our lives, put something out there. That's why we started this podcast. One for mostly half I did it for me, just being a good friend. Like I needed more self-confidence and shit like that, and to get in front of a camera and learn how to talk into a microphone.
Oh, yeah.
And then
you know what though? When I did my first podcast with Paul, plug Canadian Bro Show, I was like this. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't breathe. I probably spat out 5 words during the whole podcast. And the total antithesis of now. And yeah, exactly like a robot. But my brother Paul, he's just like yep. Because he's always been a more like when we were in high school, he was the jock. It was almost like you guys ever see that movie The Breakfast Club? It was he was Emilio Estevez and I was Anthony Michael Hall. We had a very unlikely. He used to stick up for me because I was such a. Like I was a little. Wow, thanks a lot. Thanks for that, bro. I was. That's okay. I was a very. She's good looking, so I'll take it as a compliment. I was a very attractive target. She's from Vancouver. I don't know if you guys know that.
Oh, really?
Oh, you know who went to my high school? This is gonna blow you away. Ryan Reynolds graduated from my high school.
What?
Yeah, Deadpool. Deadpool and I went to the same high school. Pretty cool, right?
That's amazing.
Green
I was Well, oh yeah. Who could forget the classic Green Lantern? I got to watch that again. It's so good. I'm kidding.
So
It was fine. It was fine. But once was enough. Where was I? When I was, that movie started off great. The first 20 minutes of Green Lantern is actually really awesome.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of ran out of gas. I think they just didn't really know what to do with that.
Yeah. Well, there
material.
was a CGI suit that was rough.
Yeah. And his hair was green. They put green tints in his hair. I was like, no, I didn't care for that at all. But he was great at it.
I got the flu. I got sick in the middle of that movie. Like,
wow.
Like I went home and I ended up with the flu, but thank God, because I didn't want to sit through that movie.
Fair enough. When I was a kid, I was a very attractive target for bullies because I was a big kid. I was usually one of the tallest. I've always been like the tallest kid in class, one of the tallest. And I was a Charlie Brown kind of kid. I wanted to be everybody's friend. I wanted everyone to like me. And so, unfortunately, a lot of kids that just, they're predators and they see you as prey and they attack. And that never ends. That aspect of human nature continues into adulthood. And it's very harsh. It is. Listen, the world we're living in. Rocky Balboa said it best, right? When he was giving crap to his son in Rocky Balboa. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's not. There are people out there who are very cruel. They're sarcastic. They have nothing positive to offer. They make fun of us for daring to reach beyond our grasp. And I've had to disengage from some of those people. And it's another important life lesson, I feel. And this is a bit of a controversial point, but this includes family members. Again, this is just my opinion. If you disagree, that's fine. If there are people in your life who are trying to undermine your self-confidence, like I had one guy say, "What are you writing for? That's a waste of time. What are you taking acting classes for? That's a waste of. What are you taking karate? That's a dumb thing to do." Like, and again, it doesn't make them bad people, but they're not visionaries. They don't have your vision. They have their own contribution. Maybe they can fix a car. Right? I can't fix a car. I can't shingle a roof. I'm hopeless at that stuff. I'm an artsy fartsy. We all have our whatever it is that's unique to us. But I want to be around people, even if they're total strangers, like you guys are now meeting for the first time. I want to be around people who are rooting for me as much as I'm rooting for them. And I love to hear about people's success stories, or if they're just starting. It's like, hey, I started a book last night, or hey, I joined a gym, or whatever. I'm going back to school, whatever. I love hearing that stuff. But there's some people who don't want to hear that. And it's inexplicable. I don't get it. What's their mindset? They seem to feel threatened. It seems to bring out their insecurities because, like this friend of mine, I know he always wanted to be a musician. That was always his passion. And he gave that up. And so I think he resents me because now I'm in sync, but he's still not, going back to doing his music. We have to disengage with those people, not necessarily cut them off 100%. And it's up to us to decide, but to minimize because I just found like the last time I was with this guy, you know what? I'm depressed now. I feel sad now. And there's no reason to feel that way. And again, it's almost like Star Trek. We have to go through life with our shields up, like the Starship Enterprise, right? And we only lower the shields for people who are supporting us and rooting for us, even if it's just an attaboy, as much as we're rooting for them. And that's why I'm reaching out. I'm reaching out every day to nice people like yourselves, because we are all in this together. And the more of us that believe that is going to make for a more peaceful world. It's never going to be a completely peaceful world because some people are a-holes. They're into power, right? And they're into control. I don't want to get political, but there's always going to be Hitler. There's always going to be a Bin Laden, these psychopaths, these sociopaths. And there's only one thing they understand. That's a punch in the nose. And again, that's just the way God created us. God, people say, why is there war? Why is there so much war? Because God gave us free will. And he expects us to stand up for ourselves. I mean, turn the other cheek. I agree with that 9 times out of 10. I'm Canadian. Canadians are very well known for turning the other cheek. And some people would see that as cowardice. But I don't think it is. It can be, but I don't think it is. I think it's just taking the higher road. But if you have absolutely no other choice, and this is why it's so important, I think all kids should learn martial arts. I think all kids should learn how to defend themselves. And because, oh, no, you're encouraging. No, you're not encouraging any bullies. You're encouraging them to have more self-confidence. Bullies, what do bullies pick on? A bully doesn't walk into a police precinct and pick a fight with a cop, right? He doesn't do that. He picks on the weak. He picks on what looks weak to him. because that's the only way he can feel good about himself. He's not going to write a book. He's not going to start a podcast. The only thing he knows how to do is to make other people feel like they're under that their faces are under their boots, right? And so we do need to stick up for ourselves sometimes. It doesn't have to be physical, right? It can be just like, hey, just back off, right?
Yeah.
Just withdraw.
And I mean, it helps in teaching like self-control, like when instead of just getting angry and punching or whatever, you can be like, hey, like, let's try not to resort to this. Let's be a little chill about it.
I mean, it's the easiest thing to get sucked into another person's negativity. And we see two people having an argument, right? They both, even if one is completely right and the other is completely wrong, what you're looking at is two people who are out of control. And that makes people feel insecure. It's like, gosh, I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy because everything sets him off. And that sensitivity, sensitivity could be a wonderful thing if you're an artist, but it can be like an art. It can be like a ball and chain that's stuck to your feet, because if you're too sensitive, if you're too vulnerable to other people and their habits or their comments, again, it drains your energy. So anyway, that's my story. Believe, it all boils down to self-belief. And again, just, we need to live our lives fearlessly. Yoda said it best: fear is the dark side. Fear will cripple us if we allow it to. And it's understandable, because the world can be terrifying, but the world is also beautiful. I go to my Starbucks every morning and I see all these nice people around me, and some of them are writing in their notebooks, just like I'm writing, or they're tapping away on their laptops. And sometimes we chat with each other, and I suppose, you watch that TV show Cheers? Like, I walk in and everybody, you go to a place where everybody knows your name, right? Exactly. I go to Starbucks every morning and I greet a lot of the customers, the staff, and they all know my name. It's nice. We have to, people are social creatures. We have to be alone sometimes, especially if you want to write a book. But if you're alone and you're doing nothing, if you're alone and you're just staring at the wall and regretting and ruining and feeling sorry for yourself, again, those destructive temptations, that's why people become alcoholics or drug addicts. They will be, because you're in so much pain, you're suffering, because what you're thinking about. You want to jump out of that pain pool and right into the pleasure pool. And so that's why I was eating so much junk food every day. So I would eat a whole pizza and go to bed. It's a wonder I'm still alive. It's a wonder I didn't give myself type 2 diabetes. I buy like a huge bag of M&Ms and I would just scarf them down like there's no tomorrow. Again, because I got into that habit. And that's another thing. We're creatures of habit. Yeah. We get into our ruts, we get into our routines, we get into our comfort zones, but we can change that habit. We can change our habits. But if we don't change our mindsets first, it's almost like building a house. A house has to be built on solid ground. A movie has to have a good, well-written screenplay. How many stories have you heard about movies that go into production and there's no script? Right? They just wing it, right? Now, that works sometimes. I heard Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie? I love those movies. I read that they actually shot that movie without a screenplay. They like, the actors made up a lot of the time, and it was great. Look, Iron Man is a great movie, but I think 9 times out of 10, I think that's the exception. I think you need to have a foundation. You can't build a house on quicksand. You're right, and so if you don't change your mindset, if you join a gym tomorrow and you want to lose weight, get in shape, that's great. But if you have the same mindset, you're going to quit. You're going to quit. But then that's why people quit. Because they didn't change their mindset first. When I changed my mindset in 2019, which boils down to, there is this being, he's not my imaginary friend, he's real, he's the creator of the universe, he's our father. I mean, imagine you're playing Little League in school and you're not into it, right? You just kind of slacking off, and then suddenly your dad shows up. How is that going to change your mindset? Your dad is watching you. He's sitting there, he's leaning against his car, and he's watching you. My hallucination is you're going to try a little bit harder, because we want to make the people who love us happy, right? And when we give up, that makes them unhappy. And it makes everyone else. I'm sure a lot of my friends and family over there is like, what is John doing? Like, why doesn't he write? He always talks about writing. He's always going to these movies and he's got opinions about everything under the sun. Why doesn't he do something with that stuff? And I did, kind of willy-nilly here and there. But it wasn't in a meaningful way. And thank God I'm living in 2025, Because if I was living in the 1970s at 60, there'd be no hope for me. That John Leister dies as security guard. But I have it in my mind's eye that the days ahead for me, where there's going to be a Lee Hacklin private investigator series streaming on Netflix. I mean, that's the bell that I want to ring. And if I never cross that threshold, then at least I'm on the right journey. And that's all. Never mind how much money you have or don't have. Never mind what other people think. Be this above all, to thine own self be true. And then just have faith that everything that you want that's attainable, it has to be attainable, right? If it's not attainable, then forget about it. I'm never going to be a professional pole vaulter, right? That's not going to happen. If I trade every day for the next 10 years, I'm never going to be an Olympic pole vaulter. It's good to have an unlimited dreams, but again, within the realm of quasi-reality. But becoming a writer, a professional writer, I've made a few sales over the years. I get a spreadsheet from. Oh, that's another thing. I don't use Amazon anymore. Anybody out there, this might be some useful information. Anybody out there who wants to be a self-published author, there's a website called Draft2 Digital. It is free. It's easy to use. I didn't need any help. I gave up on Amazon because I still had some hiccups with them even after that time. And what they do is they springboard. If you write a book, it springboards your books to different platforms. So all my stuff's on Barnes & Noble and Apple and Kobo, and there's like 5 or 6 others. And there's another website called Poster My Wall, and that's how I design my book covers. It's only been over the last year, so my books actually have book covers. So, that's my story in a nutshell. You just like yourself unconditionally. Again, focus on what's within your control. The moment we start thinking about what's beyond our control, it's going to suck away at our motivation. And we need to think in a way that motivates us to do whatever it is we want to do with those. I mean, if you want to get your pilot's license, if you think about that every day, and then 10 years later, you still haven't, a pilot's license, every other aspect of your life might be great. You might have a great family. You might like your job, live in a nice house, drive a nice car. That woodpecker is going to be nattering away at your brain all the time. Maybe it's just me. That's my hallucination. And again, other people pick up on that. They pick up on that insecurity, and it encourages them to feel that way about themselves. So again, that's my philosophy. I call it Johnny's way, and it works for me. It's not going to work for everybody, but it works for me. Like Hunter. You watch that show, Hunter? That was with Fred Breyer, probably before your time. It was a cop show. His catchphrase was "works for me." That was his catchphrase.
I was thinking of a different show. Sorry. I was going to ask you. So when I made the change, I've lost 155 pounds so far.
All right. Holy moly!
When I made the change, I was worried about losing friends or fucking whatever. But the outpouring I found of just love and support, because I was in the bar every night, I was fucking doing all these things, and that's where we spent the last 10 years probably. It was just either in the bar or fucking drinking somewhere. And so I was worried. I was like, man, then, these people aren't going to want to be around me, blah, blah, blah. And then I did this and everybody was like, dude, we miss you. Like if you want to come hang out, that's fine. If you want to go do something else, like we just want to see you. We love you. We're glad you're doing okay. Did you have that? Did you feel that?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say 90%. But again, how many stories have we heard about guys who were like 300 pounds, they lost 100 pounds, and then they gained it all back, right? Don't do that. Don't do that. Again, why do they do it? Because somebody made a sarcastic comment like, who do you think you are? And they allowed that negativity. Say, oh, this is a waste of time. I'm just going to go back to what I did before. Again, you have to change your mindset first. And anybody who wants to lose weight, here's a little bit of eat garlic. I started eating garlic every day. Garlic actually increases your metabolism. So I have a piece of garlic every night before bed, and it actually burns off calories while you're sleeping. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm famished. But congratulations on losing that weight. And I bet you feel a lot better about yourself. I mean, look, Winston Churchill was not the fittest guy in the world, right? He liked to say, every time I think about exercise, I lie down. And he liked his cigars, and he liked his booze, and he liked his food. But he had a brilliant mind, and he seemed like a very secure guy. So again, what matters is that you're comfortable with yourself. Are you comfortable with yourself? And if you're not comfortable with yourself, then you need to make changes that are doable. Because again, life is short. And that's another thing that's been motivating for me. As we get older, time doesn't slow down. When we're young, every second feels like, especially when we're in school and we're looking at the clock, right? Every second goes by like an hour. Well, man, oh man. I mean, for me, the days just go by like seconds. So I remember watching an interview with William Shatner, fellow Canadian. And, William Shatner has done everything. He was in outer space recently, right? He's done everything. He's written books, acting. I mean, he's done everything. And the interviewer asked him, like, you're so passionate about life. It's like life's like a lemon. You're squeezing it. You're squeezing every single drop out of life that could be. And he said, and I thought it was a great answer. He said, because I feel the scythe of death scratching my back all the time, right? And again, that's a little bit terrifying, but that's his mindset. Like that, obviously, that works for him, right? That wouldn't really work for me, but my awareness of the finiteness of time, that these bodies that our souls are driving like cars, they have expiration dates. We're not built to last. I mean, it's just for a short window of time. And we're living in a golden age, fellas. I mean, this technology is amazing. I mean, you're in Texas, I'm in Vancouver, and it's almost like we're in the same room. That's what I'm always telling people, especially younger people. Don't play Candy Crush all day. Like, why would you do that, right? Manifest. That's not really what you want to do with your life. But again, people are addictive. We get addicted to things, right? And so to break the addiction, we need help. We need to reach out, and it's everything. We need fill your head with, read a self-help book, watch a motivational video on YouTube, watch an inspiring movie. But as again, Bruce Lee, when he created, you guys know who Bruce Lee is, right? Bruce Lee. When he created Jeet Kune Do, I'm sorry. Well, you guys are a lot young. You guys are a lot younger than I am. When he created Jeet Kune Do, he looked at all the pre-existing martial arts and he just cherry picked what made sense to him, and everything else that he thought was a waste of time, like the stances and this that, he just disregarded. And I think it's a good philosophy. If you put all your eggs into one religion or into one political ideology, that wouldn't work for me. If that works for you, but it's not a good way to go through life, in my opinion, because you're putting all your eggs in one basket, and weird things do happen in life. And so for me, it's much better to look at all the pre-existing philosophies and again look at what makes sense to you, because there are a lot of people out there who think that 2 + 2 = 5. There are a lot of people out there who have opinions and ideas. There's some people who think the world is flat. There are people out there. God bless them. I think it's awesome that they think the world is flat. They're wrong, but if that's what they believe, I love it. I don't want to know them. I don't want to be around them, but I love it. That's great. Good for you, bro. Just keep on thinking it. If you think the square root of 4 is 110, fantastic. It's not, but that's fine. Again, whatever works for you. And again, at the end of the day, it's all about self-acceptance, right?
Yeah.
And there's just so, when I work my job, I when is this guy going to stop talking? I saw that look.
No, he just hit puberty here.
I just hit puberty, I guess.
When I do my patrols at work, I interact with dozens and dozens of people every day. I'm friendly to everybody. I try to treat everybody like my best friend. I try to be 110% every day. I make mistakes. I screw up sometimes. But even when I screw up, I like to think my heart is in the right place. Most of us feel that way, I'm sure.
Human nature.
Maybe 1 out of 10 people will smile back at me. Maybe. I would consider that a good day. If one man or woman smile, and sometimes I feel a little defensive about that, and so I have to remind myself, like, no, they're just preoccupied. They're just, they're looking at their phones. They're thinking about what they're going to have for dinner that night, right? They just got their own stuff going on, and it's we have to be forgiving. We have to forgive other people, because if we don't, we're going to suffer, and we have to forgive ourselves. We've all done things that we're not proud of. We've all made comments that were not the kindest comments to other people. We've all hurt other people, not necessarily intentionally. It doesn't matter. The law doesn't care about intention, right? The law doesn't give a damn gun. I know, right? If we can apologize to someone, if we have that opportunity, I think that's good. But we also have to have it in our mind's eye that person might not want to forgive you for whatever it is you did or didn't do. And then you just let it go. You tell yourself, I made the effort. I reached out. They rejected me. and then you move forward. Rocky Balboa said it best. What's life about? It's about you have to take the hits. Life sucks sometimes. Doesn't matter who you are. Life sometimes is a pile of crap. Things happen that you lose your job, your house, you go to the doctor, it gives you some bad news. I know 2 of my buddies have cancer. I have 2 guys in my life who are friends who have cancer, and they're super healthy. They work out, they're jocks, and they eat healthy, and they're the most positive guys. One's a writer, and the other fellow, he's friends with my brother. They're the most upbeat guys you can meet, and they're fighting cancer, and I pray for them every day. Bad things happen to good people, right? But we just have to keep living. We just have to keep living. And there's a difference between living and existing, right?
Yeah.
I think most people, and I'm not judging because I was that kind of person too. It's very easy to just exist, to just make the bare minimum, have enough money for your food and your clothes and a shelter and some fun on the weekend, and never mind what you wanted to do with your kid. It's very easy to live your life that way. It takes guts to manifest. And again, if you can drop your ego, if you can challenge your preconceived ideas that you learned from your mom and dad, that they learned from their mom and dad, that they learned from their mom and dad, that had nothing to do with the real world. Our parents teach us stuff sometimes that has absolutely no bearing in logic or rationality. It's just I grew up with a lot of here's an example. I grew up with a lot of prejudice as a kid. And I'm Canadian. We're supposed to be a tolerant, diverse nation. I grew up. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus, but let's just say I grew up with a lot of generalizations about particular races, and even when I know it's just the worst. And when I was a child, you don't have the mind. The mind is developing, but I had an intuition. Like, what are you doing, Dad? Why are you saying this stuff? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? But that's just who he was. I guess I am throwing one. I'm sorry, Dad. I'm throwing one. You're a good provider. I'm throwing him under the bus a little bit. But that's what he learned from his dad. And some people just accept. They don't have the critical thinking ability, or they deny it. They just accept what's in front of them. We have to challenge that stuff sometimes, because if we don't, we're going to go to our graves, leaving our dreams unmanifested. And I'm proud to say that even if it was just the one book, I'm proud to say that, pride goeth before a fall. I think genuine pride, when it's earned, I don't see that as a sin. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. It can be if it's unearned. But if it's genuine, James Cameron, when he won the Oscar for Best Director for Titanic, he ran up on stage and he said, "I'm king of the world," right? And everyone gave him crap for it. He got all kinds of criticism. And I'm like, F you, world. He earned the right. He made the most successful movie. He made a movie that millions of people loved. He probably, maybe he felt stupid afterwards. Who knows? Sometimes we say things in the moment, right? That are now, but that was just genuine emotion. Yeah. That's not a thing to be made fun of. That's how he felt at the time, and he earned that. I'm sure he slept 2 hours a night making that movie. Yeah, and as far as I'm concerned, he earned every penny, and he deserved that award. Okay, guys, I'm running on fumes. Thank you so much. Sorry for spitting so much. It's passion. It's passion. Thank you. Perfectly fine. Thank you.
We really appreciate you coming on and telling us your story and everything, man.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And I will. I'll be sure to subscribe to your podcast, and I'll post a link on my Facebook page and Johnny's Way. And your podcast is called H&D Comedy.
Yes, sir. Just like this.
And it's on YouTube?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll do that as soon as we sign off.
Right on. Appreciate it, John.
Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, sir. You have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Cheers. God bless.
Thank you for watching H&D Comedy Podcast.
Work it, boy.
Get funky, get freaky.
Be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps us so we can bring you more content.
Oh, baby.